Welcome back to Graf-X Tech. I just got the new iPads from UPS 5 minutes ago, and I'm going to unbox them here for you and then give you my initial impressions. So, looking at these iPads, something I always thought was pretty cool about these promo wallpapers is that they actually spell the word Pro in them. If you see P-R-O, Pro. That's pretty cool. And what I have for you today is the 11-inch 1 terabyte. This is also the Nano-Texture display. See there? And then this is the 13-inch 1 terabyte with just the standard glass. One of them's in silver, which is this one, and the other is in space black. So we're going to take a look at these and see which one is really better, how they compare to some older models, and all of that stuff. So first we're going to center in on the 11-inch. So let's unbox them. I'm kind of sad that the boxes don't have the plastic wrap anymore. It's the whole environmentally friendly thing, but these aren't as good. I'm just saying, they aren't as satisfying as that peeling of plastic, but here you go. Still decently satisfying. Alright. This will be my first time seeing any of these iPads in person. Whew. Wow. Wow, is that small? That feels so thin. Yikes. Alright, we're going to set this to the side for just a moment here. Alright, taking a look inside the package. So you get the welcome to iPad, the startup guide, some paperwork, and on the Nano-Texture display option, you actually get this polishing cloth from Apple, and it's what they want you to use to clean the screen with. It actually says that right here. There you go. Alright. 20-watt charger. Yep. Right here. The iPads can actually charge more than 20 watts. I kind of wish they would give you a better charging brick in the box, but oh well. At least they gave a brick, unlike the iPhone. And this is a braided USB-C cable, which is nice to have. They definitely last longer than the regular ones, so that's good. And that's what you get here in the box. Alright, so now looking at just the iPad itself, we're going to head and take off the paper wrap here. Oh yeah, that's a nice silver. I've actually never owned a silver iPad Pro before, so this isn't very different from like the previous year's silver, but it's new to me, so I really enjoy that. I do actually like that the camera bump is now color matched to the back of the iPad. I think that looks a lot better. And yeah, only one camera on the back of this iPad, not two anymore, which is definitely interesting. And here's your first peek at the Nano-Texture display. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel any different than the previous display. Maybe a little bit grippier. Hard to tell. But it definitely can get a little smudgy. Luckily we have our polishing cloth right here. Oh, it didn't really seem to help much, did it? Well, we'll take a look at that closer in a second here, but that looks really good. This is spectacular looking, and it's very light indeed, and thin. Holy cow. Alright, well this isn't even the thinnest one. Next we're going to actually unbox the big boy iPad Pro, this one right here. So let's take a look at how this one is, and it's supposed to be even thinner than the other one, so here we go. Let's move this iPad to the other side. And one and two. All right. Here is the big iPad Pro here. Ooh, that is so thin. The photos, the videos I've seen, they do not do this thing justice. Holy cow. You gotta look at this in person. This is incredible. It's just so thin. So thin. Alright, we're putting that off to the side again. Let's take a look what's in the box. So again, 20-watt charging brick. And it is a color matched USB-C cable. So if you buy the Space Black iPad Pro, you will be getting a black USB-C cable, which is really nice, braided as well. I heard someone say that they thought it was just on the 13-inch that's getting the black, but it has nothing to do with the size of your iPad. It's only if you bought the Space Black or the silver. Space Black gets black, silver gets white. Makes sense. So again, the startup guide, some paperwork. Something some of you out there might be missing and realizing here is indeed these no longer come with Apple stickers. Apparently, they were too unenvironmentally friendly, and they had to get rid of them. So I don't know how that makes any sense, really, but so be it. We'll live without them, I guess. Even though, personally, you know, that's my favorite part about Apple products, is just those stickers. Clearly. Alright, so looking back at this iPad again here. Whew. Still so thin. Alright. Here we go. Ooh, yeah, that Space Black looks good. That looks good. I was tempted to get the Space Black for the 11-inch as well, but I figured I should compare the different colors. And I thought this one might be the winner, and oof, yeah, it looks really good. It's hard to tell. In the camera, it still looks kind of gray. But let's bring out an M1 iPad Pro next to it. Alright, so this is how much darker it is than the M1. This is the space gray color, space black. So it's space black is pretty much as black as the camera bump itself here from the old one. Now let's look at how thick these devices are. Look at that. The new one almost looks half as thin. I mean, maybe not quite that much, but that is significantly thinner. Yeah. And see, this is the standard glass. It's definitely not as reflective as... Well, I guess this does have a tempered glass screen protector on it, so that might be why it's so reflective. Whoop. But this one seems to be muting them pretty well, but you can see my iPhone up there still pretty easily through the glass. Let's put that back for a moment. Let's bring back out the Nano-Texture display. Yeah, look, you get no reflections here. Although I want to say it looks like more smudges show up. Maybe? Hard to tell. I guess this one does smudge decently as well. But I don't know. I feel like this one's looking more smudgy. Maybe I just had greasier hands at the time. Okay, well they do feel different. And this isn't like paper-like textured for sure, but it feels softer. Like a softer glass than the standard. This glass feels stickier. Not exactly sure why. But yeah, here's space black and silver side by side. And the iPad Pro 13-inch is supposed to be even thinner than the 11-inch. And yeah, it definitely looks a little bit thinner. It's not by much, but you can tell. And just simply because this device is larger, it just feels so much thinner. That's insane. Now, weight-wise, versus like the M1, I mean, I would say the M1's heavier, but you really have to think about them next to each other in order for it to really feel different. It's not lighter by that much, but it is lighter. I will give them that. All right, let's power these guys on and see this beautiful OLED screen that I keep hearing about. All right. We're gonna begin the initial setup here. All right, so these ones came with an update right out of the box. Likely if you order one at any point now, they will also come with an update right out of the box. While these are updating, there's a couple things I think I can look at here. First, I thought I heard a rumor that the bezels are a little bit slimmer on this model, but I'm not actually sure if that's true or not. All right, so let's take a look here. From the best I can tell, it looks like the bezels are exactly the same. So it must be that the screen and the dimensions are just actually slightly bigger, because this iPad is a true 13-inch iPad. It's not a 12.9 inch that's just marketed differently like the iPad Air. It's actually 13 inches, so it does have a little bit more screen space, but it is definitely hard to tell just side by side here. Does look like this one might be a hair taller, but I don't know. I wonder where they're getting that extra screen from. So yeah, it's interesting. All right, so while those keep updating here, we're gonna unbox some of the accessories. First is the 11 inches Magic Keyboard in white. I actually really like the silver and white keyboard. And what's weird is this box feels heavier than the 11 inch in its box. And I wonder if that's just because it's smaller, so it's denser, but it feels almost heavier. Even though the keyboard shouldn't be heavier than the iPad, I don't believe. Here we go. All right. I'm really excited about the new Magic Keyboard. I think in this case, the accessory might even beat the product itself in some ways. This is going to be fantastic to use. And yeah, that's actually not that heavy at all. I was worried because of adding aluminum, it would actually be heavier, but they actually made it thinner and lighter than the previous model, which I do find really cool. Oof. Yeah, that looks really nice. My only worry with the white is that it's probably going to get dirtier faster because they still have that silicone-like material on the outside. But, man, that is really nice. And it looks like they just get some paperwork in between and just a divider to keep it nice. Alright, so this is the Magic Keyboard for the 11 inch. And yeah, the keys are a little bit cramped, but I think this is still pretty comfortable to type on. And yeah, it's weird. With no iPad connected, this trackpad is completely off. Like, it doesn't move at all. I mean, I guess a little bit, but it barely moves. And what's really interesting to me is how this hinge works now. So when it's open, it's laying flat like this, and the whole iPad rests further back than it ever used to. And then when you close it, the hinge itself actually turns sideways. And the USB-C port is now on its side. And then let's look at the big Magic Keyboard here. We're gonna go kind of quick with these other ones since we know what happens here. All right, opened up, take it out, get rid of the box. Let's take a look at this thing. Yeah, that looks really good too. The black aluminum looks really nice. And this is definitely a darker shade of even the silicone material than the previous one. It was more of a gray, kind of like the space gray iPad. This is black. This is a black Magic Keyboard. Ooh, the aluminum's still a little cold. That's a MacBook keyboard right there. You can't tell me any different. This is just like a MacBook. Here's it from a top-down perspective. Very thin still. And yeah, the iPad sits a little bit further back, but it still keeps that floating design of the old one. And as you may have noticed, a beautiful function row of keys and the haptic trackpad. And yeah, this feels just like a MacBook Magic Keyboard. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, our iPads are almost done updating, but real quick, we're gonna unbox the last two accessories we have, and that's the Apple Pencil Pro, one for each of them. And yeah, these look really cool in the package. I actually really like how they have different designs. I believe there's it's either 6 or 8 different designs that they come with, and I think that's pretty cool just to spice it up a little bit. All right, that's another one of these tabs. I feel like this was the least satisfying unboxing out of all of them, but that's all right. Whoa! All right. Yep, looks like quick start guide and paperwork, the usual. And here's the Apple Pencil itself. Take it out of the paper. Oh, doesn't really want to come out. Wow. Again, not very satisfying. Whew. Looks almost identical. Except for the Pro at the very end. But hey, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, here's the Apple Pencil 2. This has like a special tip on it, but other than that, yeah, they feel basically identical in the hand. Oh, they magnetize together apparently. That's fun. All right. Yeah, it looks really good though. I feel like the packaging is actually more interesting than the pencil itself for this one, considering they're kind of the same as last year. But oh well. But hey, I guess it's what's on the inside that really counts. So these Apple Pencils are pretty different on the inside. Having a haptic engine, a new squeeze gesture, a new barrel roll sensor, all that stuff. That's pretty interesting. Again, packaging, not working with me today. But I'm excited to see the new features of these Apple Pencils way more than how they look. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. Alright, so bringing back these iPads really quick. They have finished updating. So we're going to say set up without another device on both of these. I'm going to set this up for myself. Yeah, we'll continue with Face ID. Ah, okay, so it does actually make you go to landscape mode for Face ID setup, since that's where the camera is located now. Alright. I personally find that the Face ID setup is actually a little bit quicker than even Touch ID. I feel like I had to move my finger around a lot for Touch ID. Yeah, let's do this one really quick as well. Oh, I can feel the bassiness of the 13 inches speakers even during this setup. Ooh, it's got a lot more oomph to it than even the 11 inch. Alright, gonna create a passcode for these and then I'll get right back to you. Alright, I'm just gonna sign in quickly and then we're gonna put on some of the accessories and give my final thoughts and first impressions here. Alright, now we're actually in iPadOS here. This one's in dark mode. This one's in light mode, and I just thought I'd show you the difference here. I mean, these are very dark. I don't think I've seen these widgets this black before, but obviously I'm not extensively testing these OLED screens right now. But I will note that in some videos I saw that they said that the Nano-Texture display kind of decreased the quality of the screen a little bit for regular use, and to be honest, I don't see that at all. I don't see any loss of clarity between these two. Here, I'll try to give a closer look, but I don't think this looks any different than this as far as quality goes. Now, obviously, it's hard to tell from a camera, and I get that, but in person here, I'm not seeing much of a difference. So if this just gives you better glare resistance, I mean, for pretty much anyone who uses their iPad outside a lot, this might be pretty cool for them. I mean, you can already see just the lights behind me. They glare right on the border here, the bezel. but when it actually hits the screen, that Nano-Texture just deflects it immediately. But you're seeing it like that. To my eyes, it's still perfectly clear. There's no like weird light bouncing off of it or anything. It's just nothing's happening. Just muting all of that. It's only when you start to turn it to the side and like really kind of far away from your eyes and the different viewing angles that you might actually start to see the lower quality of it. But considering that you don't get all these crazy reflections all over the screen, I don't know. If you're already going with 1 terabyte, it might be pretty interesting to go with the Nano-Texture display. My one concern is durability, considering they actually give you a polishing cloth in the box with it. That's a little bit sketchy. I'm a little worried of how the screen will actually hold up over time. So I'll be doing a lot of testing. I'm going to be using the Apple Pencil on this, and we're going to see if the screen actually holds up. But alright, let's get these guys in their Magic Keyboards. Alright, so here they are with their Magic Keyboards attached. And something I actually noticed right out of the box, weirdly enough, is I'm not seeing any backlight on my white one here, and I'm not sure if that's because it's an 11-inch size and they actually don't have backlights anymore, or if I got a dud, or what happened. I just tried restarting my iPad and turning it back on. That did not fix the problem, so I'll have to look into this. I'll keep you guys posted. If I get it working, I'll let you know. This is Future Micah coming in. The backlight does work, it's just wants it to be darker before it activates. So yeah, problem solved. We're all good. The one over here works immediately. Looks really nice. And these trackpads feel fantastic. Way better than the old trackpad. They feel like a MacBook trackpad. And this one's basically the size of one too now, which is really nice. Very fluid. Feels super responsive. I've always been a fan of the Magic Keyboard, and this just makes it so much better. Although I'm definitely a little concerned about this backlight not working. A lot of people ask the question, okay, but these iPad Pros are glass, and we want to keep that glass not scratched up, right? And it's going onto an aluminum case now. So what's preventing the glass from being scratched by the aluminum if anything happens to that? Well, it's pretty interesting because I didn't notice right away, but let's see if I can show it here on camera. There is a rubber lip right around the keyboard, and it sticks up just barely above everything else. So technically, when you close the iPad, it's resting primarily on the rubber and not on the aluminum. I think at the edges they probably touch as well, but if you look, there's a little bit of a gap in the middle here. I believe that's caused by that rubber piece around the keyboard. So it's going to keep most of that glass pretty well protected. So you shouldn't have to worry about the Magic Keyboard hurting the iPad in any way. I also feel like Apple probably would have solved that problem before shipping it out. But yeah, I do like seeing that there is some extra engineering in here to prevent that from damaging the device. I will say, Face ID works so well. I feel like it's even faster than it was before, with them now being on the landscape side, because every now and then you just be adjusting your iPad or doing something and you're blocking the Face ID camera. And then you have to wait a second and you have to get your hand out of the way and then it will log you in. But now, it's pretty instantaneous. Done. And actually you have a lock button now too, so boom. Boom. It's 2 taps with the keyboard, and as long as you're looking someone at it, it's gonna unlock for you. That is super nice. What's pretty interesting is these iPads are definitely not the same aspect ratio. I can't remember if that was always a thing, but the 13-inch is definitely taller than it is wider than the 11-inch. The 11-inch is only a little bit less wide, but the 13-inch is pretty significantly taller. Just kind of interesting there. All right, Apple Pencil Pros. attached to one. First pairing. Attached to the other one. First pairing. Here we are. Alright, and you see the light and the dark modes here. It's kind of funny that I put the dark mode on the silver one, the light mode on the black one, but we're going to move on from that. Alright, so it wants us to try the squeeze gesture now. So let's try this. Whoa, okay, that's actually pretty trippy. It feels like you're actually clicking a button. Yikes. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna like that forever. Wow. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, and even double tap gives you some haptic feedback. Yeah, those haptics are nice. This is me testing the writing. Obviously, I'm writing very sloppy here, but yeah, alright, that works really well. Oh, and add to Find My. This is what we needed. In case people lose their pencils. I say that even though I was never a person to really lose my Apple Pencil, but this is really nice to have, and it makes sense to be on the pencil. Alright. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh. Yeah, that squeeze gesture, that's nice. So you can kind of do it more towards the front here, even back as far as like this far back, the squeeze gesture works still, which is really nice. It's not very finicky. I like that, and you really have to determine to squeeze it. I don't think you're gonna trigger this by accident a whole lot. I mean, maybe you will, but it seems like you gotta really actually try and squeeze it in order for it to work. But that looks really good. I feel like writing on the standard glass might feel different actually than writing on the other. Yeah, it is a little bit different. I think because this Nano-Texture is a bit softer, I think it does actually give more grip than the standard. Yeah, I feel like this is a bit slicker. Interesting. I'll keep testing that out and seeing which one I actually like better writing feel wise. But that's pretty cool. Now let's look at the whole package together here. Yeah, this is so much lighter, I feel like, than the old one. I mean, I don't have it on hand anymore, but that is nice. So you see the Magic Keyboard base is almost as thick as the iPad. It's not quite. So it almost doubles. With the bottom and top, I guess it probably does double the thickness pretty much. But it's still ridiculously thin. I also hear a lot of people say, oh yeah, now the iPad Pro is thinner than the Apple Pencil. That's insane. That's insane. That's so weird. But how's it even gonna work? So yeah, it is. But it was before. It's been that way for a long time. Even on the 2021 or whatever model this is, the M1 iPad Pro, it is still thicker than the iPad itself. So it's been that way ever since the 2018 redesign. So yeah, I don't know why that's a surprise to some people. But I feel like they don't want to make this much smaller, otherwise it's going to be hard to grip it properly. Also, yes, the Apple Pencil Pro is only able to be used on the new iPad Pros and the new iPad Airs. And that's because with this landscape camera, they actually redesigned how the magnetic connection is. I believe the magnets are even in different spots slightly. So, I mean, we don't really get the whole insider knowledge as to why they had to change that. I mean, could they have maybe tried to make it a bit more backwards compatible? Maybe. but it does seem like there was an actual necessity to make this exclusive to the new ones. And to kind of prove that a little bit, here's the second gen Apple Pencil. Yeah, it doesn't even really magnetize to this at all. Yeah, they're kind of like maybe stick on there, and it definitely does not pair. So yeah, the magnets are in different locations. This is the one you're gonna need for the new iPad Pros, and in my opinion, it makes sense. I mean, it's the same amount as the second gen pencil is right now as well, and it gives you several more features that are actually really nice. So I don't really see what the need would be to go to anything else. Something I wanted to see was how thick is this iPad Pro 13-inch with the Magic Keyboard compared to the 13-inch MacBook Air. And that is pretty stinking close. I think the MacBook Air is just a hair thinner, but that is pretty thin. Oof. Yeah, although something just seen right here that I would have loved on these new iPad Pros would be more ports. I like that the MacBook Air at least has 2 Thunderbolt ports and a MagSafe charger. I would have loved at least one more port here, since the keyboard case doesn't get a charging port, but oh well. I would also say weight-wise, these two are actually pretty comparable. I mean, if I really had to pick a heavier one, I feel like I'd go with the MacBook Air. I don't have any scales on me right now, so I can't give an exact measurement, but I feel like the iPad Pro here is actually lighter than the MacBook Air, which really begs the question: should this be called the iPad Pro, or should this be called the iPad Air? Because it's definitely got some light as air qualities here. Alright, so to wrap up what I really think about these two iPads, I mean, for one, I loved unboxing these things. These iPads feel amazing to hold, to use. The tech and the hardware here is phenomenal. And I'm going to be testing out way more of the software side of things, and also just what you can do with these iPads, the different features of the new Apple Pencil, and things like that in the future. I'm going to also be really testing out Final Cut Pro for iPad in anticipation of version 2 launching later this spring. And I'm going to see, can you really edit all your content? Can you really be a professional all on iPad? Those are things I'm going to be testing out here on the channel. And I also am going to for sure keep in mind my Supernote tablet here, as I still love this thing. I'm still going to be using this thing every single day, and I'm going to be comparing it to the iPad Pro, maybe the 11-inch, maybe the small guy here. See which one of these two is really the best notebook for you. This is now really thin and light, and with the keyboard case that's also pretty thin and light with it, it's way more portable than it ever's been. So that's really tempting, and I really like how these feel. I'm a little disappointed that this backlight is not working on the 11-inch one though. So I'm gonna have to look into that more, and I hope that it's an easy fix, like some kind of reboot that I can do to make that go away. But all in all, these devices are fantastic. I really like the thinness, I really like the weight differences, and how the hardware has improved year over year. So stay tuned for many follow-up videos comparing and contrasting both of these devices and seeing which one is actually best, which one is best for you. Can you do Final Cut Pro very well on a smaller screen like the 11-inch iPad Pro? Well, we're going to find out that too. Can you do all sorts of different things on either one of these devices? And I'm also really looking forward to WWDC when iPadOS 18 comes out, and see if that changes the game as far as iPads go. I know there's already some more pro apps coming to iPad, some more 3D modeling and editing software coming to iPad, and I think that's really cool. Honestly, pro apps and more of them coming to the iPad is making the iPad more compelling as a replacement for a MacBook. I know some people still are really hung up with iPadOS, and I understand some of the frustration, but personally, I don't mind iPadOS. I just want more apps and more desktop level apps. And as long as we keep getting those, I'll be a happy camper. Thank you for watching. If you're curious about my setup at all, that's all going to be linked below. And I hope you guys have a good day. Happy iPad season.